everyone's going to be given a notebook that looks like this. What I'd like you to do is make sure you start by putting your name, and even though it says grade, if you could put the period that you're in this class. You're then going to break it into 3 sections. So split your paper in about half. You want most of your area for notes. So the back half of this notebook will be marked for notes. And you can write it right there, or you can write it above, or in both places, so that when you've closed your book, you can still see the Notes tab. If you take the front half that you'd already split that in half again. Doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to take another tab, and the middle section is going to be marked Summaries. And again, you can write it down here. Squish it in, or above. That's kind of supposed to be an S there. And that last section, so starting with the very first section, will be your bell work. And you can mark it with a tab, or if you'd rather not, you don't have to. What I find helpful is I like to see all of my tabs. So if I take one more Post-it and rip it in half, I now have room for that just last little bit. And I can write bell work sideways. So now I have 3 sections to my notebook. Welcome, MATHLAB students. One quick correction from the previous video for my MATHLAB students. There is generally no homework for my MATHLAB students. There will be an occasional day or so where they are given homework, but in most cases they're given homework in their core class. I generally won't give them extra homework in their MATHLAB. We're going to spend a little time practicing long division. Long division is as simple as memorizing the people in this family. I know a lot of people struggle with long division, but if you can just remember Dad, Mom, sister, brother, and a rover, I know my R kind of hung off there, you'll be able to divide. And I'll tell you why. This way of remembering long division, each person represents a step in the long division process. So Dad starts with D, and therefore it represents the process of division. The next step would be Mom. Mom starts with M because you need to multiply for the next step. Sister comes next. Sister starts with S. Subtract also starts with S, so you would subtract next. Brother starts with B, you would bring down next. Rover starts with R, and you're either going to repeat those steps or you're going to leave a remainder. Now, at this level, we don't leave a remainder, but while we're practicing long division, we're going to leave a remainder. Just for the purpose of practicing it, then we'll move on to doing it with a decimal point and not using a remainder. So I'd like to divide 947 by 2. First step, well, let's write all of our steps out for a moment. Divide, Dad, Mom, multiply, sister, subtract, brother, bring down, and rover, repeat. So we'll just check mark as we go. And if we check mark, we'll know whether we've made that step and can go on to the next one correctly or not. So we're multiplying the dividend 947 by 2. First step is to divide 2 into the first number in the dividend. So think how many 2's will fit into 9. Write that number directly above the number you divided into. So if we're just looking at 2 going into 9, How many times does 2 go into 9? I hope we said 4. And we put a 4 up here because we decided how many times it would go into 9. Since we decided just the 9, we put it right above the 9. We divided. The next step is Mom to multiply. So we're going to take the 4 and the 2, and we're going to multiply them together. 4 times 2 is, yell it out, 8, correct. So we're going to write the 8 underneath the number that we divided into originally. So in this case, the 9. We've now multiplied. Our next step is sister to subtract. You can just put a subtraction sign in front of our value there. And we're going to subtract 9 minus 8. 9 minus 8, of course, is, yell it out, 1. So we're going to write that just right there. We've now subtracted. Our next step is brother to bring down. So we're going to go to the very next number, the one right next to the 9, because we just looked at the 9 first. We're going to go to the very next number in the dividend. And we're going to bring it down. So now we have a 14. Now that we have brought it down, we're going to do our last step, which is rover to repeat or write the remainder. So we are not ready to write the remainder. The reason we are not ready is because we were able to bring something down and there's more numbers after. So we can continue solving this problem. We just have a 4. We don't really know anything else about this answer. Therefore, we're going to repeat. We're going to go back up to divide. So we're going to divide 2 into the number 14 now. So if we ask how many times does 2 go into 14, how many 2's are in 14? Yell it out. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. There's 7 2's in 14, so you're going to write your 7 right above the 4 because that was the last digit we brought down. Now that we've divided, we're going to go to the very next step, which is to Mom multiply. So this time we're going to multiply the last number we put up there, which is 7 times 2. 7 times 2 is 14. So we're going to write 14 under the number we just divided into. We've now multiplied. Our next step is sister to subtract. So we're going to subtract 14. Well, we have 0 left here. So we're finished subtracting. And the next step is to bring down the next number. So the next number is 7. We're going to bring it down. Check. How many times does 2 go into 7? We have 2 and now we have 7 left down here. So how many times does 2 go into 7? How many 2's are in 7? 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, we can't go to 8. 8's too many. So 2, 4, 6, there's 3 2's in 7. So write your 3 up here. We've now repeated and gone back up to Dad to divide. Now we're on Mom, multiply. You're going to multiply 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is, yell it out, 6. Now that we have multiplied, we're going to go to subtract. Once we subtract 7 minus 6, we get 1 left over. And our next step is to bring down the next number. There's no next number to bring down. What we need to be doing at this grade level is putting a decimal point, adding a 0, and continuing this process. We're going to go ahead and start with leaving a remainder so we can practice this process of long division. And then we'll go ahead with the process of not using a remainder and repeating with adding a decimal and a 0. For now, because there's nothing left to bring down here, we're going to write the remainder. And the remainder is 1. So we're going to write R1. Try these. Write them in your notebook first right now, because this screen is going to disappear. Write down all 6 problems. And then after you've written them all down, you're going to try them in your notebook. So you should have 864 divided by 9, 495 divided by 5, 44 divided by 2, 855 divided by 9, 528 divided by 6, 340 divided by 4. Work out these problems, check your answers with your group, work them out together with your group if it helps, and we're going to check our answers together at the end and turn these in. Please be sure to show your parents the video you saw earlier, and especially if you're a lab student, show them this video as well so they know that you are not expected to have homework every night. Otherwise, they're going to be asking you where your MATHLAB homework is. Thank you very much. If you guys have any questions, come and see me.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.